Oh my, oh my, oh my. Welcome to today's show, Headhunters and Executive Recruiters, all the beautiful people and all my gracious millennials.
Oh
Welcome
no!
to
What
the
the hell?
Headhunters and
Not your
Boxers
group, brother. I've got my
talking
Ursa group on here.
smack. with my host Neil Lebovitz and of course your one and only DSP David Stephen Patterson. And today we have a really special episode for you, one where you will learn a lot, one where I think you may even grow a bit as a person, and that is with the Scary Money, Don't Make Money boys. In other words, Roy and Cam. Right?
The guys.
Boy, is it a rap group? And I don't mean that because of
That's what
Eddie Ray.
I saw boys and I was like, hold on, I paid bills, bro.
Is that
I pay a lot of
No,
bills.
it's boys with a Z. Boys with a Z, right?
With a Z, so yeah.
With a Z,
there you
with a
go.
Z,
With a Z.
Yeah.
What is
That's like my Lebovitz should be with a Z, but it's not hip. Like boys with a Z is cool. I'm misspelling names, but I got S. I got nothing going on. I don't even got a good Jew
character.
name.
It's got character.
No, it doesn't. I don't have a good Jew name.
It's not extreme at all, yo.
Yo, Neil Lebovitz in the house. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so my kids realize how cool I am when I talk in their hip lingo from the streets, and I see when I say, look, fellow teens, are you ready to go skate the half pipe? And they're like, man, I don't even think you're my dad. You seem like you're also a fellow teen who skates the half pipe as I do, because I'm a teen.
Nothing mortifies a teen more than us trying to be cool. Like even this that I'm wearing like this is almost arguably a too young of a shirt for me. They don't like anything that I'm more techie than they are, which is a joke, right? But yeah, they don't like that shit.
No, I can't do the dances.
They don't.
Oh my
The
god,
dances?
the dances. I hate the dances.
Oh my god, the
What
TikTok
do you dances? There's the
There's like that
what's
floss thing, the floss. That's all this.
Oh, the floss thing.
Yeah,
My daughter
that's-
does that.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's bizarre. And
I
that's
floss
bizarre.
my cat, but that's about it.
And they think it's so cool. Like I just be sitting there, like my son looks like he's like having a seizure every time he does it because he can't do it right. I'm like, quit hitting yourself, son. Like it doesn't work.
Not good.
But how does that
Not
work?
good.
Do they like study the videos and they try? It's like they're actually
Yeah.
doing something, right? It looks like they're winging it, but that's bizarre. That's so weird.
It's like there's like a whole cadence to it. It's like 1, 2, 1, 2. But it's funny to watch a
modern-day line
7-year-old
dancing.
try and understand that.
My day when we
Well,
wanted to dance, we would go to a dance hall and pay 50 cents to get a steak dinner with it.
Whoa.
This is modern day line dancing. When I was younger, and we used to line, you know, the electric slide.
Mhm.
But I will say this: so if you go to, I don't know how it is where you guys live, but here in Florida, in Tampa, if you go to so you know, we have a country kind of dance club called the Roundup, down by here, and you go to the Roundup, and when everybody's line dancing, and what happened is everybody's line dancing, and you tend to get a few different types of crowds, right? You get like the old fogies that are dancing like some of the older line dances, and then the new stuff comes on, and all the brothers come out. I'm like, and they kill it, and they make everybody else look the horrible.
Oh my god! And
Because
so
they're doing like these line dances, but they're doing like extra moves and shit and spins.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, it's like
but
Michael
we
Jackson
started it,
on
right,
the-
bro? Right? Didn't we?
Oh
we
yeah,
all
but we don't. But they're doing way better.
Yeah. Oh my god! Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
they're
like
killing it.
slide was
It's
a bar
crazy.
mitzvah thing. You know, bar mitzvahs, they had the electric slide and the Macarena and all that stuff. And then down south, right, they had the Cotton Eye Joe, and that's about it, right? That's where it all started, right? Those three or four.
Cotton
And
Eye
then,
Joe.
remember that? They love that down south.
Wasn't Cotton Eye Joe a Swedish? Ended up being like a Swedish dance or something like that, from Norway or something like that. It was like
That's where it
like a
originated?
Norway dance. I don't know, but didn't they take it and they made it into like a techno song?
I'm
of some
sure
kind?
they take everything with techno
Cotton Eye
song.
Joe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure our viewers would love to hear who these guests are. So before we do that, if you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button, the love button, to share it. Hit the pissed off at DSP button, whatever you want. I just need some emotion. But let's drive the algorithm. Hit the hashtag live, or if you watch this replay, you know hashtag replay. Hashtag, or we call it pound.
Our
pound
old boss used to
pound.
do that. He'd be like, hashtag fresh. We're like, what are you doing?
Hashtag fresh.
Hashtag
that guy.
boys with a Z. Lebovitz
that
in the
guy must hate
house.
the half pipe.
Wait, I gotta do a Z. Hashtag. How do you? I can't even do that. A Z. That's a Z. Yeah, I have no idea. That's a hashtag. But hashtag Lebovitz in the house. I don't know. It's horrible.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This is the first time I've seen this.
No,
man,
You're obviously not very cool, sir.
Yeah.
You're obviously. Well, that said, I'd like to introduce you to, again, Cam and Roy. So Cam and Roy actually are military recruiters. I know, Cam, you're in the Air Force, right?
So I'm in the Air National Guard.
Air National Guard.
Yep.
And Roy, are you Army or are you Air Force as well?
I'm active duty Air Force.
Yeah.
Active duty Air Force. Okay. And so, and what's interesting about these fellas is that they approached me a month and a half ago to be on their podcast called Scared Money Don't Make Money. And of course, that title would probably be better suited to Air Force recruiters don't make money. But interestingly enough, though, it's a show about sales and recruiting, and I know that they have their sights on being agency recruiters, or actually they're actually already kind of along that path now. So it's kind of neat how that transition's happening. But yeah, tell us a little bit about I guess just who you are and what you do and what you're looking to do. Kind of because it's interesting to see that transition. So it'd be lovely to hear about it.
So Roy and I were recruiters together. When we did enlisted recruiting, which is like your typical like recruiter you think about in the military, like kids in high school, whatever and stuff like that, like your bare bones recruiter in the military. And so we both became really good friends just off of our love for like psychology and people and recruiting and sales. And it, like, they always say like, don't talk about work at home, but that's all we talk about. Like I call him and he's just like, man, you wouldn't believe what I heard somebody say today. And I'm like, bro, that's so stupid. And so, with a Z, stupids. And so we just, and I'm kind of more of like a jumper. Roy's kind of a thinker. So I said one day, we should just do a podcast, man. And he was like, oh yeah, sure. And then I kind of like created the Facebook page, created the podcast. And I was like, hey, by the way, we have a podcast on next Wednesday that we're doing. So go ahead and make sure you're on it. And so,
go over the plug already.
I mean, we've been recruiting for 6.5 years. Yeah, I know, right? And
wait, but is that what you do? Is that what you guys do full time as an Air Force? What are you, Air Force officer or no, whatever you are, Air Force? What's the word I'm looking for? As an Air Force, but that's your full time job. So you say you're full time in the Air Force, but you're recruiters.
Correct. So like our dream has always been we've talked about in the future, we want to own our own agency once our time is done in the military. And so that's where all this came from. And I'm just kind of out there. Like I connected with both of you guys on LinkedIn. Roy's actually the one that found DSP's page, the Herc, 2.5 years ago and was like, hey man, you got to join this page. And it honestly, his page really kind of evolved our expertise of what civilian recruiters do, because even though we're very similar, there's a lot of differences. And so I would say that
recruiters.
We're
just recruiters. You're military recruiters. Don't make us the outsiders. Okay?
you guys
be honest with it.
You get your own nomenclature. And so I can definitely say like through what we've started to learn through those pages, it's allowed us to be even more successful military recruiters, because a lot of people in our field aren't doing those type of things and reaching out to people like yourselves who have way more experience than we do in the game. Because you're never going to find a military recruiter that has more than maybe, what'd you say, Roy, like 15 years experience, maybe.
Yeah.
Like that's about where most people in the military top out, because they eventually retire. So, you guys have
fly
what, 20
aircraft?
years.
Do you do any active duty? Do you fly an aircraft? Are you going to ever get any air experience, you guys, or no? Or it's strictly going to be?
I mean, we don't fly.
Recruiting.
Yeah,
we don't fly any planes.
Do they view you? And listen, both of you could kick my ass in a second, okay? So I say this from a show. Are you viewed as pussies by the other Air Force guy because they're out there doing stuff and you're recruiting? No, they don't say it to your face, but they don't say like.
Oh,
look.
I mean, we're called, what was it? What they call nonners? Like because we're office workers, like nonners,
right,
like because we're like not doing any hard work, right? Well, not even like it's funny because people make fun of the Air Force for being weenies, and then inside of the Air Force, there's like a whole nother brand of like, but we're like the toughest Air Force guys.
Like
you guys are like the weenie Air Force guys.
Like a nerd.
Marines.
Like a nerd actually giving you the wedgies.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the Marines are the toughest. But Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines. I would guess the Navy and Marines are tougher. Is the Air Force considered lower than the Army in terms of toughness? Is the Air Force really? I would think the Army was the lowest on the totem pole.
I say it's a case by case because I mean I've beat up a Marine before.
I know this is not Marine.
Have you beat up a Marine before?
You do not leave a box of crayons alone with a Marine. You'll lose that box
Especially
of crayons.
red ones. Those are their faves.
Especially red ones. I love eat them. I love it.
Cam, all joking aside, have you beat up a Marine before? Have you really beaten up a Marine?
Yeah.
For real?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, believe it or not, I have not. Okay, just saying. Just sure. Hold it, but I have not. I have not beaten up a Marine.
I don't mean like beat the shit out of anybody. Me and the old Marine recruiter where I was recruiting at before, drunken wrestling nights, and I'm like, yeah, Air Force, what?
Yeah. That's funny. I did boxing once for fun with a friend, and first time I ever put on gloves and box, I got knocked out. Okay, so I'm a lover.
That's okay.
Pacifist.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I have a buddy.
Yeah, so that's where we're at.
Speaking of Marines, I love ragging on Marines. Speaking of Marines,
are you eating, David? Are you eating during the show? Is that eating?
Off drop, yeah. Yeah, totally. I'm eating like a MDMA pill. Somebody gave it to me. Anyway, but speaking of Marines, I know this Marine. He's an ex-Marine, and he still calls memes memes.
Oh,
memes. I haven't corrected him yet. Yeah, maybe he calls them meme.
Meme.
Oh yeah, look at this meme guy, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a pretty cool meme. And I started correcting him.
Again, something else I've never heard. I've never heard that one before. Meme.
That's how
you meet more Marines. They're a source of continuous laughter.
Oh God.
All right, so I'm dying. So as military recruiters, what is so our recruiters obviously have challenges convincing people to take jobs. Is it the same? Like you get these people out of high school, you're still competing, right? Like they come to you, they're competing with all the other military branches or even not going in the military, right? So, I mean, you have the competition the same as we do. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. We got the different challenges and the different competition. I would say the biggest thing would be like the societal and cultural like miscommunication and misinterpretation of the different militaries. I mean, even like right now, your average 17-year-old can't even tell you all 4 different branches of the military right now. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time educating people about the military more than anything else. Versus years past. I mean,
they had the ads. Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines. We don't ask for experience. We give it. You don't read it in a book. You live it. Remember that? That was a great freaking ad.
I don't know that, it sounds like a great ad.
It was a great ad. You live it.
Well, it's also come down to like the wars too.
Google
like because there's less people serving, there's less people. Like what did they say, Roy? They show us these statistics every year where they say like, in 1980. 25% of households had somebody who was in the military at some point. Now it's down to what, like 5% maybe?
Wow.
Yeah,
it's just getting lower and lower. And so you no longer have those influences are like, Jimmy, when I joined the Army, it was the best thing I ever did. We don't have that anymore. Now people are like, yo, if you join the Army or the military, you're stupid. You should go to college.
So how do you emotionally hook them? What's the trick? Like, what do you guys do? Because again, I think a lot of our recruiters can relate to it. What's the hook?
The hook is education, informing them about the different opportunities because like he was saying earlier, like a lot of people think like, oh, you join the military, you're just another number, you can't do things, you can't live your life. But that's with a lot of different organizations. When we talk about like using drugs, like, or like I can't have somebody telling me what to do. If you are going to a job and working somewhere, guess what? Somebody's gonna tell you what to do. And even like, well, I'll just own my own business. And I'm like, and I explained it to him. After a while, when you start to build your business and you grow, you start to have partners and you start to have people on the board, and don't publicly trade your company after that. Now you got shareholders, and guess what? You got people who's gonna tell you what to do. So
it's a breakdown.
It's greener, right?
It's a breakdown. It's a breakdown build up. I mean, that's what I always tell people. I just go in direct, and I think that's where like when DSP was on our podcast, like because he's like, You see an objection and you just go around. so
Yeah.
I know that's what I mean. Someone's like, I mean, I talked to somebody yesterday who was like, I'm only going to come. He was prior Air Force, got out of the Air Force and said, I only want to come into the Air National Guard if I'm going to be commissioned. And I was like, okay, well then our conversation stops. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Aren't you a recruiter? I said, yeah, but I don't care if you have a degree. Like, you got out the Air Force, dog. Like, nobody knows you here. So you gotta earn it if you want it. And then, and then of course the dialogue changes now because they obviously are expecting one thing. So I think I think that's not a problem, but what a lot of recruiters have to deal with is standing their ground when it comes to the standards of the organization.
And what objections? What do you guys overcome the most? What do you overcome the most? What's like your biggest ongoing objections that you have, and how do you handle them?
It depends on the age group, honestly. So like a lot of people think that right now, most of the people who join the military are 17 or 18-year-olds, when in all actuality, the demographics have shifted to anywhere 21 to 24, right, Roy? Is that about right?
Yeah.
Like I think when they initially joined.
21 to 24.
That's kind of old, but
Yeah.
But now you can join at 39.
Well,
Yeah, but now you can join all the way up to 39 years old, yeah.
Now, when I was in basic, I remember we had this one guy with us in our platoon who was 26 years old. We called him Papa Smurf, and I remember in my mind's eye how old he looked.
You're like, God,
like 26, bro. And he was like, I'm like, God, that's old because I was 17, man. But I will say this about military versus college. I'm not a big fan of going out and getting $100,000 in debt for a degree that likely you're not going to be able to use unless you're, say, in STEM. But man, I'll tell you what, if I'm hiring, I told my new tactical campaign manager, Trey, he was Army for 7 years. He did tour of Afghanistan. I mean, the guy like that is way more valuable to me than any degree you could ever put on your piece of paper.
Yeah.
Because that shows me you can wake up early, you can go to bed late, you can work your ass off, that you're committed, you're there every single day. If you don't know how to do shit, you figure it out, or you ask somebody who knows. Like I can't do this. Like no, there's no quitting. You know what I mean? And so for me personally, I'd much rather have a veteran than I would have somebody who graduated from whatever school.
Absolutely. And I think that needs to be sold to them. You probably do it, but I think, it's the emotional sell, like anything about, because, the education, that's all good, but what does that really mean to them? Like they could really live the dream if they invest this time and the discipline, then go out and do it, right? But it's a matter of your time is here. It's going to disappear soon. You're young once. We have this choice now and the window's open. Yeah. You come back at 10 years, like, if you don't want to be a lifetime military person, this is the best thing that anyone could really have coming right out of high school. You're not going to go into college or pay for college or whatever.
Well, it's a commitment.
Plus, you get a lifetime discount. Well, I was saying this, I will say, plus you get a lifetime discount of $2 off of every museum visit for the rest of your life. Are you better? Sure am.
You have any idea how much that adds up to? No joke. I've seen this. That adds up to $2,856,000 in a lifetime. People don't know that. It's take the discount, double it every week. You got to do a lot of museums. Yeah. I think you'd have to do what? You'd have to do a museum every 6 minutes. But if you do a museum every 6 minutes, it would be millions and millions, you would say.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I mean,
commitments, let's say is probably a big thing too, because as recruiters, we obviously know about commitments. Like, hey, you're gonna sign a contract, stuff like that. A lot of kids these days don't understand that fact, and so. For instance, I know like a big objection we get is like, oh, well, I'll go to school, I'll go to college for 4 or 5 years, but I don't want to make a commitment to the Air Force for 4 years. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're going to make a commitment to an organization to pay them $100,000-something, where realistically they don't give you anything that's tangible to like survive if you're thinking about it. But you'll take 4 years from us. All of our training is college accredited, and we're going to give you life skills, like DSP said, that will actually translate to an employer where they know you're reliable. What situation sounds better to you?
hold on a second. I got to call you on this one there, Kim. Okay. I think a degree in Aboriginal interpretive dance theory will be a lot of weight in the job market, sir. And that is a tangible.
Aboriginal dance.
Dancing with the Stars.
Basket weaving.
The dance part, the theory. You're right. The dance theory I haven't done. Everyone knows the practical part of Aboriginal dance, but the theory behind it, is
Yeah.
the key one, I think. Yeah.
Aha.
Uh-huh. Are
Yeah.
you making fun of me being a Jew right there, Cam? Is that what
Nope.
that was?
Nope.
Aha. Well,
Aha.
that's what my people say. My people do say that.
It's very sensitive,
Oh
sir.
man.
I
Very
am a little
good. You listen
sensitive.
to sensitivity training. Um, so with that being said, sorry, I kind of dove off this way. I'm curious here. So you guys are wanting to go into agency, and you guys are really dreamy. I gotta say, you guys are just like, oh my gosh.
Tell me
I
your
was gonna say
secrets,
you're totally
David.
fawning
Tell
on
me
them.
your secrets, David.
So, oh man, I like touching my beard because it gives me
Don't ask, don't
it
tell,
increases my
David.
testosterone in my sperm count. I do this, my sperm count increases automatically. It's crazy. Anyway, so that said, going from military career to agency. Now, I know, Cam, you've already started the company technically, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a guard. So, are you guys actually officially started at this point?
Yeah, so I mean, I am for the most part. I mean, you know, as far we started, we have the tools in place. I've started reaching out to people. I've started researching, you know, sourcing things like that. It's kind of a slow progression, obviously, because obviously we are still doing this full time. So a lot of it is building blocks, building our client base, building our connections, building our network, understanding how the the civilian recruiting world works, you know, things like that. And I obviously look at both your guys' pages every day, and I'm like, oh, okay, that works, or okay, that works, you know. So realistically, it's you know, I have 6 years till retirement. Roy has 4, I think. So, you know, I was just like, why am I going to do this? Just start cold turkey 6 years from now or 4 years from now when I could just start doing this now and make valuable connections, get valuable knowledge, start maybe a small little client base, and then dump in from there.
You're allowed to do that, though. Someone put in there a side hustle nation. Are you allowed to side gig being a full-time employee of the U.S. Armed Forces?
Yeah, as long as as long as I'm like not doing my job. So obviously, if like my numbers start taking a huge dip or dive, or I'm not showing the attention I'm supposed to that, then yes, I'm not supposed to be
Gotcha.
doing that. But
Or using your military affiliation
or
for your
like
business.
stuff
So-
like that.
Roy, what are your KPIs? Meaning, what do you get tracked on? What numbers are they tracking you on? We're saying the numbers. Like, what do you guys expected to do?
So he's a supervisor, so his metrics are
nothing.
different than mine.
Yeah.
Right. He's got a supervisor responsible for nada, just like the real world.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like
no. Like I've learned real quick. Like when you're the supervisor, when things that are up under your control is everything points right
That's right.
directly to you.
Yep.
So as far as numbers and things of that nature, we're pretty much just looking at like the amount of people that we can get into the serving within that fiscal year. So that's the biggest thing that we're looking at. Just making sure people, again, going back to that, well-informed, they understand, making sure they're qualified, and they meet all the criteria to be able to join. So
do you track people? Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. I was curious. I think you might have been asking the same thing as far as tracking. But is there tracking after the fact? Like, for example, do you get graded on kill rate?
Exactly.
No.
I was going to ask that.
But you get graded on like those who make it through, like say basic, or make it through, then or go to certain jobs. Is there any other KPIs as far as how they perform after the fact?
Not right now. For me, there is, because when Roy recruits when his people recruit for active duty, like once they leave, for the most part, there's not a whole lot of tracking, unless something probably comes up, right? But like for me, when I recruit people into my unit, those are the people I'm actually going to be directly working with. So if something happens with them throughout it's like say their clearance gets messed up, then they automatically come back and they're like, "Well, sorry, Macias, you didn't see this issue?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm not a background investigator, bro. Like that's their job." So
I was going to do the KPI earlier, meaning, so I don't consider number of people coming into the military that become active as a KPI. I think that's like calling a placement a KPI, or just from my perspective. I would
Okay.
say the activity before. Like, do you track how many interviews that you have? How many
Yeah.
places you've got? So you track. So those KPI, you
Yes.
track
Yeah.
all that stuff,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Then
We
you
track all
track
of
the
that.
percentage of people that you meet versus the people you convert, or the people that come back again. So all that sort of stuff.
Correct.
Correct.
We
Cool.
track all the same metrics that you guys would track as far as, cold calls, emails, initial appointments, who gets past the initial appointment, and then there's like medical clearance, statistics, and all types of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Now, okay, now I have to say this. I'm going to post up a message here, and this is from the one and only Animal.
Oh,
And his show. So
the
if you haven't
Animal,
heard of the
man.
Animal, check out his show. So he posted that from Twitter. I'm going to post this here, show here on the screen. In high school, I never got harassed. And this is not from him. This is from somebody else. Never got harassed by a recruiter's person, but I did get I guess that's showing the whole thing.
Yeah.
I did get a
I
fuck
see
ton of
it.
letters begging me to join. Motherfucker, I'm a timid 110-pound weakling. You do not want me. That's the full quote. So
Oh, the
that
Animal.
said, let's talk about the aggressiveness of recruiters. So
That
I've
person
heard
was
of
David.
some,
David, that was you.
Mm.
Now look at him.
That
David was
was me.
110
And now
pound timid
Look where he's
weakling.
at now. Look where he's at now.
You know what?
look at me
It's
now,
funny.
sir.
It's funny, like reading that, and then after going to different sites and different forums and listening to different people who are in sales or who are in recruiting, the aggressiveness is pretty much the same. I was actually just looking at reading something about a timeshare and how, like, when you go to like a timeshare, like they're like ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
It's honestly the same thing. It's just repetition, like just over and over and over and over and over again. Now, of course, some people just say no, and they can just keep saying no, but obviously it works because people still do it,
Yeah.
and they still do it because it works. So
So how do you
that's
get
how
to
I
them?
look.
Someone asked a question about the cold call.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna put you on the spot to role play a cold call, but what's the like? But to even get to talk to people, how does that? How do you source? And do you make cold calls? And like, what's your initial pitch? Like, and I wonder if there's any similarities to the civilian world with that.
And that's one of the things that me and Roy have learned is that, like, for us in the military, we have companies that do our sourcing for us. So we literally just get sent lists. Like, there's like websites we can go to, and yeah. So we
do too. It's called India. Yeah.
And
Philippines.
so I would say that's something as far as like who we're gonna call. I know, like, I was a health professions recruiter, so my lists are different than Roy's. I'm calling doctors, nurses, dentists, people, and so those cold calls obviously go a little different than say like Roy's would. I know we as a recruiting team have gotten so much far away from that because technology. I mean, so many people just go to airforce.com, type in their stuff, and it pops into our little thing. So at least we have like a warm lead already that when we call, we say, hey, you went to airforce.com and you popped in, your information. I'm just calling you back now. So I would say probably most recruiters these days, they don't really understand the essence of a cold call. Whereas me and Roy sat on the phone and our boss is like, here's 100 phone numbers. Call them until you've talked to all of them.
I'm afraid you meant Roy and I, not Roy and me. Listen,
Right.
You got to get people really care
Roy
about that
and I.
stuff in the
Roy
civilian
and I.
world. Our grammar is so important.
There's
You're
so
not
many
gonna say
more important things in the world. Hey, speaking of, and Neil mentioned, we were just talking about this before the show. Neil mentioned getting lists from India because a lot of recruiters, when they get VAs, they use them to source. They use them from India, Philippines.
Yeah.
And I have one bone to pick with Indians. So what happened is that
easy, David,
people
easy,
listen to this.
easy.
People, I know this. I'll be PC, but people in IT probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Phone cadence. Here's what I mean. So somebody comes over here fairly new to the U.S. hasn't picked up kind of the way we leave voicemails. So we'll leave a voicemail instead of saying something like, going back at 527-813-5200, right? Like a normal cadence 334. It's like, call me 822-45-300. Like, and I'm like, repeat, and I hate it. So if you're in IT, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's hysterical.
all the time.
Do you remember in the day, dial Murray Hill 87796 Murray Hill, and that's what those first three digits. If you actually look at them, they almost always, especially the older, they relate to like your town or whatever. Like I was 836 would spell out like Teaneck, New Jersey. So it was Murray Bensonhurst 7. So it would be like Brooklyn number. The first three digits would be Bensonhurst. Like crazy stuff. Who knew, right? And then before that, it was like, "Hi, Sally, get me Bill." Like, well, how great would that be? Imagine today, hello, how can I help you today? Could you get me DSP, please? Sure, hold on, connecting. And they, the little plug-in stuff. Hi, this is David Stephen Patterson. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for David Stephen Patterson.
Steve, I wonder if anybody here has ever called one of those numbers on the side of a bathroom stall for a good time call. And it's usually Neil's number. Has anybody ever called that number and talked to Neil directly?
I have gotten so much amazing sex from that. It's crazy. and you would think not. And the hottest girls in the world, they do it. They're bored. They look at it. They're like, you know what? I would like a good time. This guy, and I get the calls. Now, it's always blindfolded through a hole in a wall, but I'm assuming it's a woman. What? No, not that. Not that. Don't be disgusting.
Oh man, I think we reached a new low with this show.
No, I regret that one. I regret that one. I do regret that one. I hope none of my clients are tuned in right now. If so, I apologize. And yeah, I'm going to shut up the rest of the show.
Well, now with that said, I do want to know. Speaking of that speaking of like say cold calling, et cetera, or you're reaching out to people who went to airforce.com and enter their information in, or wrote Neil's number on the bathroom stall. Any of those folks, when you're reaching out, obviously parents are probably heavily involved, especially for the younger folks. Like kids who are like 18, 19. How does that factor in? Because I know that's you probably get a lot of objections from the parents, I'd imagine, right?
That's like the spouse objection, right? The spouse objection for civilians. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of times they're kind of like the gatekeepers because the kids are still living in their house. So again, it goes back to the educating of the parents, because a lot of times the parents will bring their 1985 thought process about the military to now. That's a lot of time. Like you always hear, I just saw something online say like catching bullets. And one of the biggest things I always heard, like, I don't want to be on the front line. So in my mind, I'm thinking about like Civil War time frame where there was one line of people versus another line of people. And people, like even now, 17 years old, was like, I don't want to be on that front line. Like that line does not exist anymore. And it hasn't existed in like
years. Go to like Mortal Kombat. The front line's on the freaking computer now anyway, right? So you learn the video games. You should ask that. What's your score in Mortal Kombat, by the way? What level are you? That's really what you need to know, right? I would think.
Like that's the biggest thing. So a lot of people, it comes down to like the environment that you're in, the location that you're at. When they're talking about like danger, like, well, I don't want my child to be in danger. Like, and I always say, like, well, they're kind of in danger now because the more they get on your nerves in your house, that's actually like they're living dangerously, in my opinion. At least for me. At least growing up for me, when I was in high school, like
they're going to shoot them and possibly torture them. And no, that's funny.
Al Qaeda's ain't got nothing on mom.
No, it's true. Mom, right? What? If someone comes in and they say they want to do this because they want to be an airline pilot, is that a good thing, or do you immediately say, "Get out"? It's not going to happen.
No, it's all about opportunity, because that's the one thing people don't consider when they're thinking about the military is the opportunities and the doors that are opened up to them. It is anybody got the opportunity to go to school. Anybody got the opportunity to get certifications and degrees in whatever they want to do. It's just that work side of it that they don't want to hear. Like, oh, like, wait a minute, I actually have to do a lot of hard work to get all of that and one day be an airline pilot. Because like in their mind, a lot of times they'll hear like, oh, I can join and that'll be a fast track to becoming an airline pilot. But they negate all of the hard work that they have to do in order to get there. So
yeah.
Do you guys have a lot of problems like when like people coming to you to either find them a job, or when you reach out to applicants, maybe them being unrealistic about what they're worth or what their compensation should be? I know that's
well, yeah, to a certain degree, you do. I mean, I think at least for me, it hasn't happened a lot because, I mean, the small amounts, but typically the people that we recruit, at least for me and the folks I work with, are generally going to be they've been in the industry for a number of years. They already know what prevailing wage or salaries there are, and what companies are willing to pay, and so you generally get that. So for me, not really, because they've already been really kind of vetted in the industry. But I could see where a newbie, one thing I will say this, maybe this is a little bit of a rant, but I will say part of that is endemic to parenting. When we have, you get awards for participation. And when parents are more concerned with being a friend than an actual parent, they're not your best friend. I'm sorry, they're not going to stay up and watch, Living Single, whatever that the show is. And I think that parents need to be parents. You can't call their children. You can't be snowplow parents, all whatever you call them. And they need to learn the value of hard work and work them hard and show them a lot of love. And reward them when they do well and punish them when they do bad.
Yeah, but does any parent like that, David? Does any parent like that everyone gets an award thing? Like, I don't know anyone, because totally my kids growing up, they all had that. No one I knew thought that was a good thing. I'm wondering, is there anyone out there who thinks, oh, yes, a participation award? It would embarrass me.
Yeah, I think that one is been made fun of so much. I think you don't see that anymore. But that thing still exists. The mentality still exists of protect my little baby in this little cartoon. Yeah, I mean, how often do parents let their kids go outside and ride their bike alone anymore? Explore the world. I used to go out and explore the world, and these big canals behind my house are being they're under construction. I go hop the fence and I go explore, and I had a good and I learned like how to navigate in a world where there weren't a lot of rules, and so I think. That's one of the problems. If you get a kid though who's done that, then they don't mind the hard work because they're used to that. It's like if you recruit a boy that grew up on a farm, that boy learns some damn hard. That kid knows some damn hard work. He'll do Anyway, and a rant.
I mean, you're right, because like I don't know if anybody's seen like this picture, and it was a picture of I think it said like 1975 or 1980. And it was like a child with a bad grade, and the parents were like looking at the kid going crazy, like, why is this a bad grade? And it said like 2000, and the parents are looking at the teacher like, why does my son have a bad grade? And it's like things have reversed. Like if a child does something bad in school, parents aren't looking at the child like, why are you acting up? They're talking to teachers sometime now, like, why is my child being punished? Like, because your child cussed out.
Oh my God. My ex-wife was a teacher, and parents, it would be amazing. She would tell people like, your kid has a learning disability. We're concerned. No, they do not. Like, they do. And she's taught, and a master's, she taught thousands of kids. You got to address it. I think the advent of the play dates when everything went downhill, right? Because it used to be, you used to go out, and I'm going to go out. I'll see you. You get on your bike alone.
You had to plan
How
gay
is that? Hi, Stephen. This is Neil. Would you like to have a play date with me today?
I will say, 100% exactly. Yeah, it's all play things that ridiculous. But I think it comes down to. I think what comes down to is that even in school, like you don't know your kids being taught in school. Because parents, they look at school as a place to go park their kids, they can do their thing. No, like for me and my daughter, I call my school and says, hey, I need to know what's the curriculum? What are you teaching? What is she doing well on? What's her score? Does she need help? Do I need to work with her after school? Like this is, parents need to be a lot more involved because then they'll produce better soldiers for America. But that's just my, I'm very much a patriot. I will say this. We're about to get to the news here in a moment, but I will say this because Neil's giving me this sign. But we had
the subtle signal. Don't tell me.
Post this. The subtle signal. Twitter. My father was proud of his service. My son took his advice seriously when he told them, and I'll also read the rest of it. Told them military recruiters lie to you, promising everything. So I'm
Ouch.
curious about
Wow.
that. Do you now? I'm seeing you guys do it.
Mhm.
Do you see that? Because I've heard that before too. I've heard that before too.
Well, we've heard that in
Yeah,
we heard
military
that in
recruiters
civilian too,
promising.
I'm
David.
about to say,
We've
yeah, I
heard
would
that
say
in
probably
civilian.
any
Oh,
recruiter,
sure, yeah.
realistically,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
don't believe
good
any
ones, there's
recruiter.
bad ones, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, I think a lot of times when it even, and sometimes it's to the point to where when you're telling somebody that they can do something,
yeah,
and I've seen this before too, where they'll flip it and like, well, I didn't get a chance to do that. Like, did you have the opportunity to do it? Yes. So you didn't do it.
you didn't take
Like,
advantage of the opportunity.
you didn't take advantage of that opportunity. So
Yeah,
I think that's I mean, again, like you all said, like everybody somewhere
I think
tells
it's personal responsibility.
it's
I think too many
personal.
people are looking to blame somebody because they didn't get something, when all reality, like we said, like, and that's with anybody who has that not line, recruiter, civilian, military, international, whatever. Someone's always going to find somebody else to blame for something they didn't get, and the recruiter, in retrospect, is the easiest person to blame.
Well,
Right.
civilian recruiters, we call them CRs. By the way, the civilian recruiters. No, we don't.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, CR is what we call ourselves.
CRs,
Yeah.
that's what we're named. That's what
The CR.
So the
CRs.
CRs are often told they're a step above used car salespeople. And again, not the people
Yeah,
that are dedicated. I'm not being funny. The people in our groups that are dedicated to learning are really good, but so many people get into it. So I don't think
yeah,
there's a great reputation animal on that end either. You know?
Yeah.
yeah.
What do I got to do to get you into this job today?
Yeah.
I mean, but here's
Put you in this job. Would you like
would
the
say, like,
undercoating? Sorry.
the irony of that sometimes when it comes to that, like if you really peel back the layers of like how recruiting is done today, it's a lot different because you have more people actively seeking out a recruiter than the other way around.
Yeah,
So many times people are like seeking out the recruiter, like, hey,
yeah,
like I really want to serve. Like, okay, so now we have to peel back layers and just ask questions to make sure that they really understand
yeah.
what they're getting
What
themselves
comes with
into
that?
and like
Yeah,
what comes with it. Because again, the misinformation that is so out there today, it'll blow your mind. Like
hmm
it is, and even with the technology that we have in our hands today, people are still misinformed.
yeah,
That's the irony of it. Like, do you they the simplest question, how much do you get paid? And that is something that is advertised and publicly known.
yeah. You
But
can
that is
Google it. Military pay
you
scale.
but you will still get that question. They can tell you everything about what happened on the football game or tell you what happened on the last CW show, but they'll ask you a question like that and it's like,
Yeah.
really? Like,
Personal
really?
responsibility.
Actually, okay, I've got something else to say, and I know we Neil's getting into the news, but I do want to ask this.
Tell me
So,
more.
you remember the movie Starship Troopers?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Great movie, and I've read the book too. It's a very good book. Great Starship Troopers. So, what are your thoughts on service guarantee citizenship? Now, because now, hear me out. Now, in that world, you can be you can be a person with all rights. You had all rights, right? But the only difference between that and somebody who served was the person who served got a vote. And the idea was that they contributed to society. And in the book, it wasn't just military service. It could have been civil service. It could have been charity, whatever service. If
Yeah.
you serve, you got to vote.
You got to
And if you
vote.
didn't
Yeah.
serve, 4 ways. You can be a business owner. You can do whatever you want. But and what are your guys' thoughts? Because that's something that I think a lot of people, when they look at like 18-year-olds, they're very misinformed oftentimes, but they're voting for things that they don't understand how things actually work. And I'm curious, if we were to make that change, not that I'm suggesting it, but if we
Yeah.
were to, what are your thoughts on that? Would that be a good idea or not?
So I would say my only problem with that, Cam's problem with that, is what about the people who may not qualify to serve in certain capacities? You know, I don't want to say, life isn't fair, but at the same time, if somebody wants to, but they can't, I mean, do we really deprive somebody of a
What
vote?
if
You know?
what if the options are made available. So charity work, it could be if you're in a wheelchair, doing civil service work. I mean, if the options were made available to everybody, that
I mean,
contribute to society, and then you get to society runs.
I don't even feel like I'm the most informed person though. So like, by that system, I'd have a vote, but I don't even feel like I do enough research.
Yeah, the vote.
If I'm being honest,
going downhill.
David, before the news, could you put my screen share up real fast?
Oh yeah. Here we go. Screen share. Are we doing the news? We are doing the news. Here we go. Hold on a second. Sorry.
Before the news, I have a screen share on the side. Invite that in.
How do I do that?
There's a screen share on the right. Just invite me in. Just like, there we go. If you could zoom in on that, there you go. So this is for everyone there.
Oh, this is
just you got to see this. This is what the commercials were for. Marines, we don't ask for experience. We give it. Don't read it in a book. You live it. So that's what it looked like. Pick up service, pick up challenge. Look at those computers.
Get free. Oh yeah, and the Marine Corps, you get free crayons. Free crayons. As many crayons you can eat. All you can eat. It's fantastic.
That's a very interesting commercial.
So for those folks who are ex-Marines, I apologize. Some of my best friends are ex-Marines. I respect you guys. I just love making fun of you because it's so dang easy.
I'm not making fun of that. That was the commercials in the day. Anywho, we're running out of
the Marines. That's
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's do the news.
This just
much better than our old one.
Totally. This just in: Naval Air Forces invade the coast. No, I'm sorry. I like to do that every day. It just reminds me of that anytime there's a news segment. So, all right. So, so here's I guess not a shocker, but I think smaller than I thought. Just came out on a poll. The conference board again, the famous conference board that no one heard of before our show. Only 28% of U.S. workers expect to return to the workplace by the end of the year. And even less, only 17% would feel comfortable returning. What do we think, guys?
I think there's too much hysteria out there. I think that people go safely if they need to. We're not a bunch of babies. But anyway, having said that, sorry, a little bit harsh. Having said that, I do think a lot of that probably has to play into the upcoming election because there's a lot of uncertainty because, it depends on who wins. There's lots of changes. Maybe I think a lot of companies are also holding off on their hiring until they see what happens in the election. So I wonder if maybe part of that is because coming up, and after that, you'll have a lot more certainty. That's what I think personally.
Okay, well, there's no reaction to this one, so I guess we move to the next. I mean, is there any more comments on it? I don't think so. I guess it's that obvious. Yeah, but you know what? Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, I definitely, as I've learned more, like that's something. Yeah, like he said, the election whole thing. Like even down to buying a house. I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, "What do you think the house market's going to be down here?" And she's like, "I don't know. I guess we'll see how the election goes." And I'm like, "Well, I guess we're all on standstill for the next month."
Well, so also what's interesting about this, and this isn't a shock either, but so women are more pressured, obviously, to return to the workforce. I wouldn't think that's the case.
Oh, really?
So that surprised me too. And senior leadership, no surprise, are much more keen to return to the workforce than lower level employees. Now, do you need that in a poll? Like, no, really. The person that's responsible for all their work making double six figures or more than the person making $30,000 a year. Like somebody's like, why poll on that stuff? Yeah. Some of these polls get ridiculous. I don't know.
Very specific.
All right,
polls are kind of stupid anyway because really the only people that are replying are people who would reply to polls, and we all know what those people are like. You know what I mean?
Oh, David, I guess you know who you're voting for. You've let the cat out of the bag on that one. So anywho, here's another poll. We got 3 polls today. But this one I think is important to share with your candidate. And because I've seen this lots of different ways. This one happens to be a poll by a firm called Towers Willis. But a third of U.S. employers are reducing their projected salary numbers for next year. So they're really going to have minimal salary increases to none, right? And the total is all, just a percent or two. So your candidate's expecting that regular salary increase, even though the stock market's doing well, ain't gonna get it by a good amount of these people. Shocked? Are they outliers?
there's more competition. There's more. Well, it depends on the industry, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I know there's just more competition out there for positions. Although, having said that, there's some movement to start reducing, like, say, H-1Bs and whatnot, so that can help U.S. workers, but at least like IT and STEM fields. But yeah, I definitely can see it to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, man, if you're a top performer, right, you can position yourself to get some pretty dang good pay increases if you know how to sell yourself. Right? I think people don't know how to. You know what it is. I think a year ago you could quite literally have a pulse and a degree, and you can walk out the door and have 3 offers thrown at you. You know? And now you don't have that. I think people don't have that. They haven't had to really sell themselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. I truly believe you got to learn that skill, man.
But they're going to give raises, right? It's going to be less than cost of living, but they're going to give raises. And I think this is an important one to note, especially when you run across candidates you're trying to recruit and they say, well, they're not getting an increase next year. That's only about 15% of the people. 1 in 6 or so are not going to receive pay increases. So I think they're totally ripe. When you talk to them, don't feel that that's normal. Right? Let them know they are totally in the bottom 15%. And you can use polls and articles like this. I think that will help.
Yeah.
You know, Cam, Roy, I'm curious. Do you two deserve pay raises?
Oh yeah, I always deserve a raise. Roy, me and Roy are on 2 different sides. Like, Roy's very humble. Like, I'll take it as I get it. And I'm like, no, I'm the Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. So,
nah, I mean, I'm indifferent.
Well, but you're not going to the Air Force to make money, right? You're not going in there for big payday, right? I don't know anyone's doing that. It's Wall Street or the Air Force. Yeah, that's it. Air Force. I'm gonna wait. No, financially, that's not your motivation, right? If it is,
I mean, everybody's motivated by something. It really comes down to, I guess, in a sense, kind of being fair, just like, especially when in terms of like keeping up with the economy of the world. Because I mean, if we stayed back like way back when, it'd be a whole different story. Because and it's no different than when you hear a lot of examples from like your parents or your grandparents, like, oh, I remember I used to go get this for 15 cents, or like when you watch Die Hard and the gas price was like 89 cents, like what? Like, I wish it was still like that today, but we just got to keep up with the times.
Yeah, but I think what is it? Security. I mean, I think Roy and I would both agree that that's probably, especially in the current economy, that's really the biggest plus side to where we're at situational wise with the working for the Air Force is the fact that we have job security. We're both very good at what we do. We both love what we do. So. We're not going anywhere.
Well, it is this investment, because if you view yourself as a company of one, it's really everybody should view themselves as a company of one. As a company of one, what can you do? If you go out there, you can make 10% more on the open market, or 20% more as a civilian, that might be fine. But if you spend 4 years where you take that money you would have spent and invest it in your skills and the work and the work ethic you develop, it's kind of like a company not taking profit, or business not taking profit, investing back in the company, knowing that they're going to get exponential growth out of that, and then they explode. Kind of the same thing, right? It's you're not making big money, but there is a big investment in you as a company. Building your assets, for sure. I think personally, it's a damn fine investment. And look, speaking, I come from a military family as well, and so I was in the Army myself, and so I know for me, some of the most learning experience I've ever had, and like my biggest growth came when I was 17 years old, basing at Fort Knox, lying in the ditch full of sand dust, and just like some guy screaming right here in my face, and that's where I grew. That's where I became a man. And I think that's a big. Anyway, I'm biased, but I think it's a big investment for you.
All right, so last story here, and this is another poll, but I want your take before I give you mine. So polls find that 85% of nurses struggle with burnout. So, and this is a survey of 12,000 nurses by Nursco. 85% are struggling to manage burnout on at least some level. It's what the poll says. So, comments.
Mhm.
Well, nurses. If so, one of the things I learned when I was doing health professions recruiting is, nurses are kind of like recruiting. They're very much a thankless job. Like people, and just based off what I saw, based off the conversation I had, like people expect them to be there, people expect them to work hard, and very rarely are they really compensated for everything that they're doing at a hospital. And so there's a lot of opportunity there for burnout. And I know, like, that was one of the things that we tried to address when we were doing our type of recruiting, but that makes sense to me. Honestly, it's not surprising.
No. In fact, not only is it not surprising, but I think it's a bit of a joke. I mean, no, meaning, sure, of course they are. And nursing's an amazing temp or perm search business to be in right now, and for a long time. I just love 85% say they're burnt out. Okay, who are these other 15% that aren't? Is my first thought, right? But I love that. And then they qualified it, at least in some way. So that the poll probably went like, so David, you're a nurse. Are you burnt out? Nah, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, really? No. Yeah. Maybe at least some level.
Yeah.
I am.
At some level.
Yeah, at least at some level. Yeah.
Negates the whole poll. Man, that's a very bad poll maker.
But 50% of these people were not budging. Like this pollster was like, "You sure? Really? Like when the doctors come in, like, nah, like a little bit, like at some level, like no. I can't get it. There's still 50% that are. You can't get a poll that says 100% on any. You can't even do a poll. Do you think the Earth is round? Right? We know that. You're still gonna get 10% of people that say it's flat. It's insane. Nothing.
So is that the kind of the answer where you're like, meh?
That's a poller. That's a poll, right? That's a total. It's hysterical for me.
In fact, I saw a great May a while back, and it was like like on Facebook you have like a like button and don't like, but whatever, or like button and share whatever. And, but they had like a meh button. Like how awesome would it be to have a meh button instead of a like button? That'd be great, right? Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the commercial, and someone's right. Think about how much you've been pain and suffering they see on a daily basis. When you've seen that, how are you not burn out? Totally agree, right? Absolutely. So I'm not making fun of that job. Like completely agree. But that way that they phrase it cracks me up, and it's almost like those commercials that they're trying to. Do you ever feel sad at times? You ever have a great day and then suddenly the next day's not as good? Hey, wait a minute! They're talking. TV's talking to me. It's like there's no duh. Anywho, that's the news for today, and I'm sticking to it. David, wrap it on up.
That is it. Well, yeah. So, that said, folks, I really appreciate you watching today. I really appreciate, of course, Cam and Roy, or should I say Roy and Cam? Probably Roy and Cam. From better looking to least, I'll go Roy. Cam. I'm just kidding. I'll let you two sort that out amongst yourselves. But that said, before we wrap up, any closing thoughts for you two? Anything you want to say? Feel free to plug your show. Although you've already prematurely plugged already, but I'll let you.
I mean, I appreciate the opportunity just to talk, like gain some knowledge and some information. Like I think KPI, like I think that was like the hashtag thing. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, all right.
KPI,
the commercial.
Boss man used to do that, remember?
Oh yeah, he did. He just never said it in the commercial. The commercial was actually pretty enjoyable. So,
yeah,
I wish we had more commercials like that. Honestly, like more like unified.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. Everybody watching this, please check out the Scared Money Don't Make Money podcast and YouTube channel. Subscribe to get a chance. I'm on episode maybe, was it 6 or 7, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Nader's been on there. I'm sure Neil will probably be on there at some point.
Yeah, Tim was on there.
Tim Madden was on there. So it's a great show. A lot of fun. Check out my episode on there. But with that said, folks, that is it. This is the Headhunters and Boxers Talking Smack show. Of course, we have Neil Lebovitz
independent recruiters and staffing agencies also, dude.
That's right, and independent headhunters and staffing agencies, and don't forget, if you are needed of any back office staffing, Neil is the guy to talk to. You want to be a boss recruiter, you talk to Boss Staffing. That's the man right there. If you are a independent recruiter or search firm owner that needs to take their practice to the next level, erect a marketing system, learn sales, anything like that, build operations, I'm the guy to talk to for that through both my accelerator course as well as my tactical lead generation course. And if you want a sales, a master class, a clinic on sales, check out my sales boot camp as well.
And if
one
you're
last
burnt
thing.
out on recruiting and you want to become, let's say, go into the Air Force, talk to these guys.
But wait, there's more.
Wait a minute. But wait, there's more. I got a ton of shit coming out. We also have our split board coming out, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully, it was supposed to be out already. We had some delays in production, or at least in on the technical side. That should be out this coming week. My app, the Pocket Headhunter, is live. Contact me if you want to be on that. And lastly, and Neil, you don't know this or not, you don't know this, but we just went live, at least on testing, with our own digital Headhunter branded LinkedIn automation tool. So that is actually,
awesome sauce. Wow,
that was pretty cool. Yeah. We just went live testing today, and that'll be live.
Holy cannoli! Awesome sauce. Well, we'll do that. I'll play with it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
definitely, man. All right,
Take
folks.
care,
That's
everyone.
it, everybody. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Thanks.